to get involved in that.
A lot of you, I know Nyla hasn't played a lot of 8-ball, but I know a lot of you play 8-ball in leagues or play with each other and things like that. And this is a level 2 class, so I really, each class I'm going to do one scenario in 8-ball to kind of help you give an idea of how a good player thinks through a rack of balls or makes a decision on what to take, stripes or solids. Also, we'll talk about, what we look for, like for the ball before the 8, we call that the key ball that you shoot before you make your 8-ball during the game, all those things. But anyway, let's just imagine that you're approaching the table and your opponent just scratched. And you have ball in hand. And you can put the cue ball anywhere on the table. Okay? Now let's look at the stripes and solids and just try to get a feel for which would be a better choice. Solids, okay. All right. Why are solids so much better? Yeah, you've got a problem here. Yeah, and all your solids are out in the middle of the table. When your object balls are on the rail, that creates a problem. In fact, if you have a scenario where if you had stripes, you try to get rid of the balls near the rail first, because it's always a lot easier to make the shots that are more in the center of the table. But anyway, one of the things that you look at when you see a rack of balls in 8-ball is that you want to look at where the 8 is. Is it possible to get there? In other words, a lot of times the 8 will be tied up or the pocket will be blocked. But in this case, you notice that the 8-ball goes in the corner pocket. And wow, look at the 4-ball, it's right there. So I'm thinking if I could somehow get to that 4-ball prior to the 8, I'm going to have a little easy shot to win the game. So let's look at this and see if we can find a pattern that would work. And I'm thinking, wow, the 3-ball leads to the 4. So if I made the 3, I'd have a nice shot on the 4 to go in there, and then I could make the 8. Guess what? The 7-ball leads to the 3. Now you notice I'm going backwards on it, backwards from the 8. Oh, wow, look at the 5-ball leads to the 7. Look at the 2-ball in the corner leads to the 5. The 1-ball on the side leads to the 2-ball. Now this is the kind of thing that you think about when you're playing 8-ball. Now if I have ball in hand anywhere, the interesting part of this rack is that I can basically use what we learned today in the class, stop shots to win the game. So which ball do you think would be best to start with?
One ball.
Okay, let's play through it, and we'll talk about it as we go. Literally, I don't need much stroke on this, just a real nice, smooth stop shot. Now, I have a pretty straight-in shot at the 2, and if I stop right there, I have a nice shot on the 5, don't I? Straight-in shot on the 5, and if I stop right there, wow, I got a straight-in shot on the 7. And again, you'll notice each shot, my stroke will be determined by how far I have to go to hit the object ball. This one I'm a little off, aren't I? So I don't want to stop it because I'll slide over here too far. So guess what? I'm just going to roll this gently because I want to get straight in on the 3. A nice gentle roll. Hit center ball. And lo and behold, I got straight in on the 3. Now if I stop on the 3, all I have to do is stop on the 4 and then I can make the 8. But I always adhere to the KISS principle of pool. Keep it simple, stupid, right? It's really and I see people in league, using all this complicated English and going multiple rails and all this when it's not necessary. So again, a simple stop shot on the 3, not much stroke. And I should be pretty straight in on the 4. I'll move. And then, now, when you play League 8-ball, for those of you that haven't played in the league, it is call your shot, okay? But if it's obvious, you don't really have to call it. But you always have to call the agent, okay? That's important. They call that gentleman's call, Like, if it's an obvious shot, you don't really need to say, but if it's a bank, a combination, or anything like that, you are required to call it.
What does it mean to call it?
It means like I'm going to say 8 in the corner, or you can just point to it, because a lot of times in the league there's loud music playing, nobody can hear you or anything like that in the bar room. But I notice a lot of people will just point and like that. And again, a shot like this, I'm right-handed, so here's a little trick that I think a lot of us can learn. People ask me, well, what kind of exercise do you need to do to play pocket billiards? I always tell them yoga, because you need to stretch your body in a lot of different positions. So on this shot, in order to make a good bridge and everything, you'll notice I'm actually going to put my leg up on the table, swing down like this.
And how many times did you do that last week?
Well, I'm not going to brag. So, and anyway, I'd like to do something like this every week, and I want you to learn the strategies. And one thing I want you to remember about that is how I went backwards from the 8. Now, a lot of times you'll have 2 or 3 balls left on the table plus the 8. Then it's really important. You got to make sure that there's an opening to make the 8, or otherwise it's not advisable to even try to run the balls sometimes. Okay? So that's where the strategy comes in, and towards the end of class we'll talk about what a safety is and when it's time to play safety and when it's time to go for a shot. But I have a general rule that I follow when it comes to that. If the safety is harder than the shot, I'll always shoot the shot. Okay? And that's a good rule of thumb for league. Okay, have to go back at it, and we'll be coming around.
Nice running out there.
Well, it's a Cosmo. It'll get harder as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.